to show the bridge. So what a day. Thank you very much for the show, both of you. Was absolutely fantastic. It was extremely close. We had 9 changes of lead. And this is what these boats are all about. Speed, spectacular, short and fast races. After 2 days race, I truly believe that we will never go back to slow monohulls. And I'm pretty sure that many people agree with me. Those races are much more exciting than we thought, and it is not over. So official result, by winning today by 31 seconds, Emirates Team UK will sail the final of the Prada Cup on February 13th against the winner of the Prada Cup semi-finals next weekend. So first question to Francesco. You seemed fast today, but you had 2 bad tacks during the first beat while you were leading after a good start. Were there any problem?
No, just, you cannot do them all good. Sometimes you have some bad ones. Yeah, it was just the timing of the turn, and it's not so easy with these boats, and we made a couple of mistakes, different ones, and yeah, I think it was a good reaction from the team. We knew that we had a chance to run the top mark ahead, and we didn't use it. But the reality is that the race was still very long, and we react well. We raced well for a good part of it after. And then Ben did the same to us. He didn't give up.
But you lost a lot on that last tack to near the windward mark, huh?
Yeah, you're talking now about still the first upwind,
first wind
right?
mark, windward mark.
Yeah. We lost a good chunk of our advantage, and then we had to give room to them because they overlap inside the zone. So definitely was not the best maneuver to do at the top. We will analyze it, and I mean it's harder to do everything perfect, but I'm very proud with the team. The boat has been going faster, and we have been racing better and better. So
that's good news. Your boat is fast.
Yeah, I think we made a good improvement.
But you must be frustrated because you were leading by 250 meters at some point.
Yeah, we were leading, but I think that when they close up that gap on the second lap, I think it was a matter of having more pressure behind. We were always running into less pressure ahead on that second downwind. And Ineos was coming with the pressure from behind. So I think we had our moments, they had their moments, and it all came down to that last cross. And there was a very, very close race.
Yeah, but what about this port on starboard situation just before the finish? Do you agree with the decision?
Yeah, I think you have to just digest the decision. And I think it was pretty close. And from the boat, it always feels a lot closer, or what probably it is. We will review the video and the umpire. You know how the umpire have like a software that shows the boats, and it's whatever. It's their decision in the end. There's nothing you can do. I think it was close, but probably it was green, but probably only by a couple of meters. Yeah. And that's
do you
racing.
Agree, Ben?
That's racing.
So Ben, do you agree with that? Can it be closer, no?
Yeah, what an amazing race. I think it's one of the best races I've ever been involved in, and full credit to Francesco and Jimmy and the rest of the team. I think maybe 9 lead changes or something like that. Maybe it's a bit stressful for us on the boats and for the supporters, but for the neutrals, that was definitely a race you want to see. And yeah, that last cross at the finish was really, really close, but I think it was just okay. But sometimes races come down to that, a matter of meters, and I think that's the kind of racing we want to see. It was great.
So you finally won the Christmas race. This is a real revenge after you could not finish the race on December 20th.
It's taken a while, hasn't it, for somebody to win the good old Christmas race. So we're happy with that. And it's a nice-looking cup, but it's not the cup that any of us are here to try and win. And I think we've got to keep that in the back of our minds, that obviously we got to win the Prada Cup and then the America's Cup, and that's what we're all fighting towards.
How did you win the race? Good wind shift or better tacks, or what do you think?
Look, it was a really close race. We had our issues in the build-up to the start, and during the race, we had a problem with our Cunningham ram, so we had to lock it off. So we had to guess, really, before the start how much wind we thought we were going to have and where we should try and lock the Cunningham at. And it was pretty good upwind, but downwind we were in a very fast and high mode, so we were struggling a little bit, and I think that made it tricky, particularly that last cross. Made that last cross even trickier as we were trying to find a nice little low mode to sneak across. So it was a real sailors' race today, and I think both teams did a great job. I think our team, given the lack of the sort of turmoil in the pre-start preparation, I thought the boys did a great job to keep things calm as we could, and get the boat around the track in good shape.
What was your problem with the mainsail?
Well, the mainsail issue was, as I said, with the Cunningham ram. So like all boats, whether it's a laser or an AC-75, your Cunningham is really your power trigger for the mainsail. And especially on a day like today when it's so shifty and puffy, the wind's up and down a lot, you're using that control a lot to power up or depower the boat, depending on the wind. And we didn't have that ability, so it was a bit of a challenge for us. Bledin Mon, who's our mainsail trimmer, did a great job to just try and keep things going and do the best job he could and get us fast most of the time. And like I said, the guys getting us around the course. So, yeah, the guys did a good job.
What are you going to do in the next 3 weeks? Will you train against your tender? You use your tender to do some training?
Training? Well, we're definitely going to be doing some training. We had a bit of a list of upgrades that we can make to the boat, and it kind of really depended on how this weekend went. We've got a little bit more time now with a couple of weeks spare, so we can maybe make some slightly bigger upgrades than perhaps we would have done before, but obviously we can't really talk about that. Needless to say, we're trying to get faster like all of these other teams out here, and that's, as we all know, that's the secret to trying to win the America's Cup, is always that constant improvement and trying to get faster and faster every day.
Your main supporter, Sir Jim, arrived today. He must have enjoyed it today.
It wasn't a bad race for his first race of America's Cup. I think it was quite a tense period for him. But yeah, I think he really enjoyed it. And he's a competitor, he's a sportsman, he's an adventurer. I think he would have loved that race today. Win or lose, that was one of the best races you would want to see in sailing. I thought it was a fantastic showcase for the sport.
Will he stay till the end?
Jim, yeah. Jim's obviously a key part of the team. And his partners, John and Andy. And Andy is here as well. And they're with us all the way, as far as we go. And they're back in the team. They're fantastic support.
One last question. You didn't seem to be enthusiastic about sailing tomorrow. What is your decision for tomorrow?
Well, we said before we would race if the winds were suitable. I think the forecast tomorrow is plus 20 knots, and given that it's at this stage in the competition, it's not worth us risking breaking the boat, and therefore we decided we won't race tomorrow. As much as we would love to put on a good showcase for the fans and the supporters of the Cup, I think at this stage it's when you're racing these boats at over 20 knots, there's a risk reward there in it, and the risk isn't worth it at this stage.
So I've invited Terry to know more about Patriot and the works being done. So can you give us an update, please?
Yep. So Patriot's been she's coming back to life. The team's had the foil cant system turned on inside the boat, and all is as much as we possibly can while they're getting the structure back in. They're turning the boat on, and really the heartbeat of the boat is going again, which is really exciting. The shore team basically finished the work that they need to do to prepare for the panel that was being built by the Team New Zealand boat builders. They finished that a half day early, so they got yesterday afternoon off, which was nice, or kind of off. And then this morning, the panel showed up, and I had to put down the tools to come over here, but they were fitting it inside the hull. Come on, only one guy laughs? Yeah. So they're making really good strides, and still a bit early to say when we'll sail next week, but we look forward to getting back out on the course with Luna Rossa on Friday.
When do you plan to go sailing? Wednesday? When do you plan to go sailing?
I said it's a bit early to say when we're going to go
sorry.
sailing, but we look forward to being back out on the course with Luna Rossa on
And are
Friday.
you going to make some changes to the boat also, or just repair it?
There was a lot of discussion about that, but sitting here, we had to focus on getting the boat ready to go racing, and so I think as Silvio continues to reinforce, and all of us, we'll go out with the boat 100% when we go sailing and pick up where we left off.
Questions from the floor? Yes, live sail die.
Hi, William Reid from Live Sail Die. Firstly, Sabine, congratulations for winning the round robin and qualifying for the final. That was quite the spectacle. To everyone, it looked like that last port starboard was as close as it gets. And do you think that we run the risk of pushing it too close sometimes?
It was really close. I mean, we're getting these boats closer and closer as we're learning to race them better and handle them better. At the pre-start was pretty interesting as well. Both boats a little bit early, and trying to push as hard as you can. And we've talked about this before, but especially with the speed of these boats and with the foil arms hanging out the side of the boats, I guarantee you that every sailor out there is doing everything they can to avoid these boats coming together, because we know the consequences are severe. I think it was good. I think Francesco and Jimmy pushed it pretty hard and came down at us, and we pushed it pretty hard and came down too. And it's a matter of meters, but I don't think at that point there was any danger of the boats coming together.
Now, as I understand it, you guys are in a bit of a yellow card, which means that if there's another breach, even if it passes initial measurement, you could get a DSQ. Can you comment any further on that, please?
It's an interesting one with the way the rules came together for this cup, that you can file what we call a CNC. It's a complaint of non-certification against another team. And even if it's something that's found that it's not quite within the rules, but it's not performance enhancing, then you get one strike. But the second time that happens, even if it's not performance enhancing, then you get a DSQ, which is, in this game, when it's a new class of boat, it's a tricky one because, there's a relative amount of grayness in how things are measured. And we obviously rely massively on the measurement team who scrutinize our boats before they're given a certification for a round. But sometimes they miss something, or sometimes a competitor asks a question about something that they may have missed. We are on one strike, if you like. We actually think that now we are 3 weeks into this competition, perhaps it's time for the teams to say, okay, well, why don't we all look at our boats, have them scrutineered again as they have to as you go through each round, and say it's time for teams to sort of put up or shut up, if you like, in terms of complaints, because to be disqualified for something that is non-performance enhancing and lose a race at this level, I don't think that's how the game should be played.
Terry
Thank you.
and Francesco. One more?
Yes, one more.
Terry and Francesco, with that strike situation, there's a potential for it to be the decider in the series. You're both fierce competitors, so I imagine you would prefer to win it on the water.
Yeah, of course. But we just play by rules, and it's always better to win in the water.
Yep, I agree.
Michael Burgess?
Question for Sir Ben. Sir Ben, can you just describe what this, I know you don't want to get ahead of yourself, but can you describe what this result means to you and also to British sailing, given that there's a history of struggles in round robin series through the America's Cup? This seems like quite a big moment, quite a big deal.
Yeah, we've always struggled with the America's Cup. It started around the Isle of Wight in 1851, and we've never won it back. And you're right, we are really not getting ahead of ourselves because we struggled coming into this competition, and we've had a great turnaround. We've won a few races, but there's a hell of a long way to go. And, for our team, we've just got to keep our heads down, keep focused, make the most of that opportunity that we've now got to make some more gains. It's going to be fascinating to see these two great teams duke it out, to see who gets into the Prada final. And we know that we're going to be up for a massive fight there. So, yeah, the search for more speed continues.
And just one for Terry. Terry, from your comments before, are you surprised by what you managed to achieve in, what is it, a week? Because it sounds like you're well on track and everything is going superbly, considering where you were this time last week, almost underwater.
Well, I'm not surprised by the quality of the work being done in our shed. Over the last 3 years, our shore team has always exceeded, expectations, and they've always delivered our gear on time and to a standard that is very high. And so that doesn't surprise me. I think the thing that we are reminded is, really what the Defender has done for us, and what they've helped us achieve. Because certainly without them, it wouldn't have happened. So we're just in a manpower and an hour situation that they certainly bailed us out. So we have nothing but high thanks for Team New Zealand for what they did.
Richard Gladwell, then you. Richard Gladwell first.
Richard Gladwell here from Sailworld. For Ben and Francesco, today was the first time they've really introduced this timeout card.
Sorry, can you say it again?
Today was the first day that we've had this timeout card introduced.
Yes.
Can you give your impression of that and how it works? And for Ben, what would have happened if you hadn't had that available?
I don't want to know the second one. But, clearly today was good for Ineos to use it. And I think was it's a new class of boat, so a lot of things are happening, and we decided in agreement to use it for this weekend. It's something that has always been in the past in different ways. Sometimes you could also ask a 1 day delay in other Cups editions. But this time was good for Ben. They used it in the right moment, and they could start on time after. It could have been good for us if we had a problem. Our boat was fine. There's not much to say really.
So you, sir, and then Matt after you.
Just one for Francesco. Just thoughts on hearing Ben confirm that they're not going to sail tomorrow.
I think I understand their position. I think it's always hard to sail in very strong wind, especially when you have a lot to lose, not much to gain. But yeah, that doesn't change the fact that we have to try to sail as much as we can and try to keep improving in order to be as competitive as possible against the Americans. So yeah, probably we may go out tomorrow. Who knows?
Duncan, and then the last one to Matt. Duncan first.
Duncan Johnson from Stuff. Just a question for Ben. Can you elaborate on the non-compliance issue and what it's around?
No, not really. There are, a new class of boat, there are a number of issues that come up. Like I said, the measurers help us out a lot. We're reliant on them as we go through the scrutineering process. Occasionally things get missed which are not performance enhancing. I think that's the key here. There are, that is for the measurers to advise the jury whether these issues are performance enhancing or not. But our issue was non-performance enhancing. But we are given a strike, if you like, and the next strike, you're out on something that might not be performance enhancing, which is the issue, I think, for all of the teams. Again, in a new class of boat where there's, we're all trying to, work together to make sure that we're putting boats on the water that are rule compliant and no one's got an advantage.
So if you get found guilty as such in this, it'll cost you the first race of the Prada Cup final?
Correct.
When do you expect to hear?
No, this is an issue that came up through the previous round robins,
Yeah.
which was a complaint filed by a different competitor. And we were found to be non-compliant, but it was not performance enhancing. Therefore, we were given one strike, if you like. But we now are the one team that sits on one strike. So if we get another strike, then we lose a race.
Okay, last question for Matt.
Chico, in light of the fact that Ineos had their issues before the start today, and you guys have new foils to perform better in the upper wind, are you concerned? Is there a confidence issue, the fact that they're beating you each time in this round robin?
No, I think the boat was really going well. We lost a lot of meters today for a few little small issues that are easy to solve. Likely there were new issues, that they were not the same mistakes that we have done before, so that's always good. So I think the boat was performing really, really well today. And I'm very happy with the upgrades we did to the boat. I think we were not that fast last week, let's say. And the boat is going a lot faster now. So no, I'm super happy with it. I think we could have won today's race if we would have been a little bit more careful on a couple of things in maneuvers. And we lost a lot of meters there. So yeah, all good.
Now Zoom, Antonio.
Yes, here we are. First question from, well, I don't see the video. Mark Reid.
Mark Reid.
Eccolo.
This question is for Terry. It's good to see you. I know it's been a busy week. What did you learn most about your opponents today in watching the races? Specifically, what impressed you most about Ineos Team UK, and what did you learn about Luna Rossa?
I mean, the number one thing that stands out about both of them is that they fight all the way through to the finish. And that was clearly on display down the last run. Ineos, you'd give high marks to their onboard communication between Giles and Ben. And there was a lot more communication today coming off the Luna Rossa boat between Francesco and Jimmy as well. And so those are things that you watch. In the racing that we did, we were pretty critical of some of our decisions at the marks and taking the unfavored gate to create a split. And both those teams stayed committed to choosing the correct gate at the time for them and keeping the race close. And so, I think it was a great display of, if you miss the first one, it's not necessarily that one that counts, it's how you finish it.
Next one.
Next one, Michele Tognozzi, Farevela.
Hi guys, a question for Sir Ben Aisley. Well deserved, Ben. We are very impressed with your ability to control every single part of the race in every single moment. I am very impressed from the last cross in the downwind. Maybe you're sailing 40, 45 knots. Can you describe us your decision-making process in that cross? And then the same question to Kekko from the Luna Rossa point of view.
Yeah, well, it was a classic race, and it was a great final moment to finish off the race, neck and neck. We knew it was going to be close before we even jibed onto port, because we'd only just crossed on the previous port starboard, and we knew that Luna Rossa were going in reasonable pressure. So straight out of the jibe, it was important to get the boat up to speed, get it really hooked up and going fast. And then really you just looking at the other boat, and the way we try and judge if you're crossing or not is to look at the bearing and the land behind the other boat and see if you're actually gaining or losing. And straight away we were gaining, so it looked all right at the beginning. And then you know that the kind of race rests on the cross, so the other team are going to come down at you and try and make it as hard as they possibly can, which they did. And so we were trying to do the same thing and sail lower and lower, but we had a bit of an issue with our Cunningham, and we weren't that powered up, so getting lower for us was not such an easy thing to do. So it got pretty close. It was about as close as you could get, and I agree with Francesco. Maybe there was 5 meters in it, something like that. But sometimes that's all you need.
Next, please.
We have Justin Chisholm. Go.
Hi, Justin Chisholm, Yacht Racing Life website. Ben, congratulations. Can you give us some indication of just how compromised the boat was because of that Cunningham problem? And also, you've got to this stage partly because of the siege mentality that you had after the racing in December. How do you manage now to maintain that intensity? What's the message to the team from you?
Yeah, hey, Justin. I mean, it's a little bit like any other boat you sail. Cunningham is a key component to powering and depowering. And if you're sailing downwind with full Cunningham on or almost full Cunningham on, it's not ideal. These boats are a little bit better dealing with it because of the apparent wind speeds that we're sailing at. So it's a compromise, but it's just something we had to deal with. I mean, we were fortunate with the 15-minute delay card, which gave us the opportunity to at least try and get some Cunningham onto the boat. Without that, we wouldn't have had any Cunningham at all, and we wouldn't have been able to race at all. So that was fortunate. And after that, it was just a matter of the guys getting on with it. But like you say, coming back to the challenges that all of the teams have had and our team have had coming into this competition, you, as sailors and as a team, you just know that you've got to deal with it. These boats are incredibly complex. They're difficult to even, maintain and get in the water, let alone race. And so, yeah, I was really pleased with how the team dealt with that. They didn't really panic. They just knew it was a situation we had to try and deal with. As to how we move forwards, absolutely. This is round robins. We've got to win the Prada Cup to win the America's Cup, and that's what everyone's fighting for. And our team know that. Yes, we're happy to have won a few races from where we were, but we know that we've got to get a hell of a lot better if we're going to win this thing.
Thank you. Maybe you want to know that the boat sailed at over 50 knots today. Thank you very much. See you next Friday.